Greetings, brave adventurers! My name is FoxyBard, and I'm here with more of your favorite RPG horror stories. Though these are going to be a bit more lighthearted than typical, these aren't the worst thing you've ever heard of. This is truly the most terrible thing to ever happen. No, that's not what we're doing today. These are a bit more lighthearted because, well, sometimes we need, some levity in life. Yes, these are still bad, and you should still not do the things in these, but I'm less worried for the safety of everyone involved than I have been previously. But if you're worried for my safety and, I guess, well-being, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel. That'd be really nice of you, if you could. I'd appreciate it. You don't have to. I can't make you. So instead, let's just get into the stories. Our first story today comes from the user SkullDandy, and is titled, When the DM is a Bad Player. Have you ever had a forever DM who speaks of wanting to be a player, then they get the chance, and they're just kind of the worst? Well, you're not the only one. Our good friend SkullDandy here also had that happen. And this is that story. Let's get into it. Tale, start. This is basically a rant about a player, but if I'm the one in the wrong, please let me know. Don't worry, you're not. This weekend will be the first session of my first ever campaign as the GM. I've played in 7 campaigns and multiple one-shots and short adventures. Most of these were with more or less the same group of people, just alternating who was DMing. One member of the group, let's call him John, was the DM for 2 of the longest campaigns, around 2 years IRL for each. So less forever GM, but still kind of forever GM. John always had really high expectations for his players and his campaigns. He would be really upset if someone missed a session. He would expect everyone to prioritize his sessions and his campaign over stuff like work, family events, etc. It was a bit much, and I had a few talks with him about it. Yeah, no shit. RPGs are less important than real life. Period, always. But more importantly for this rant, he was always upset when people wouldn't send him stuff that he asked for on time. Like backstories or leveling up decisions, stuff like that. On this case, I always sided with him. Everyone can take 10 minutes out of the day to write a backstory. I agree. I think that coming up with even just a couple paragraphs of backstory, anyone can do that if you're capable of playing an RPG. Plus, I'm the writer/theater player. You know the one. I write 15-page backstories and give it to the GM weeks in advance. I make sure to include a summary page at the start with just the main points, but send the full 15-page document in case the GM wants to read the details. So, in this topic, John never had any complaints about me. Okay, 15 pages is kind of a bit much. How are you going to be a level 1 character that has 15 pages of intricately detailed backstory? Normalize being just kind of a nobody. It's more fun. Now, on to my turn to DM. My first ever campaign. We had a session 0 on the 11th of February where we discussed the themes and atmosphere of the campaign as well as character ideas. I asked for everyone to write a backstory and send it to me until the 30th of March, as our first session would be on the 6th of April, and that would leave me with 1 week to analyze all backstories before the first session. This means more than a month and a half to write a backstory. Wow, that is a ridiculously early session 0. You usually do that a week before you start, maybe 2. Today, the 31st of March, 1 day after the deadline, I ask John if he's still intending to play in the campaign. He says yes. I ask for the backstory. He says he'll send it to me tomorrow, that he's been super busy and hasn't been able to write it. I tell him that the session 0 was a month and a half ago, which I thought was enough time. It is. That part's absolutely true. His answer, life isn't just about D&D. That hurt. I mean, he's not wrong. But that's just less relevant in this particular case, because you've had a month and a half. You could have done this in 30 spare minutes on an off day. I told him that it makes me sad that he won't put as much effort into my campaign as I put into both of his, but that, yes, life isn't just D&D, and he could send the backstory when he had the chance. I guess it goes to show that when it's other people doing something, it's bad player etiquette, but when it's you doing the same thing, it's justified. I'm just surprised he can't see the irony in that. If he was his own player, he would be fuming at himself. Tale end. Ah yes, punctuality for thee, but not for me. It's a classic cognitive dissonance. Like, yes, this is kind of disrespectful, especially because he would have expected differently, and did expect differently when he was in his shoes. But it's something that's very hard to overcome. Our brains are designed to rationalize these sorts of behaviors. Either way, I think the right thing to do is, of course, talk to him and be like, oh, yeah, that's, you would have been mad at me if I did this. Can you please just get it to me? Which, obviously, it's not the biggest deal. If you get the backstory a couple days later than you expected, you'll survive. But again, it is, a matter of respect, and none being shown here. I don't think that John is a bad person here, just, hypocritical a little bit. But we can all be hypocritical sometimes. I know I can. But let's not get into that right now, and let's move on to the next story. Our next story comes to us from the user Withengar Unbound. Hey, that's a magic card. Withengar Unbound is a magic card. It's on the backside of, what's it called? The, Elbrus the Binding Blade. Yeah. Sorry. The story is titled Rant, Awful Experience with a Paid Game. Now, I will say, before I get into this, I have never participated on either side of a paid game. I've only ever played in free ones because I haven't had trouble finding a game, so maybe I'm not the most experienced in this particular circumstance, but it seems to me that when you're paying for a service, the expectations should be completely different. Let's see how this turns out. Tale start. Hey everyone! Hi, Withengar Unbound. This just happened recently, and I felt like I needed to share, mainly to just rant, but also to get other perspectives on this. My girlfriend recently got into Do Not Disturb. She is still new to it and doesn't know all the rules, but is definitely enthusiastic and very keen to get into a game with like-minded people. She did her research for her class, and has even done a bit of journaling and note-taking to better portray her character and their abilities just the way she imagined them. For my part, I have been playing for too long, around 2 years, but am eager and was keen to get into a game with her. Okay, stop. Pause. Stop. 2 years? Okay, I've been playing RPGs since like 2007 or 2008. I forget the exact time because that was like almost 20 years ago. 2 years. Oh, you sweet summer child. We found a paid game and agreed to play in it. We would have obviously preferred a free one, but because we were only available at specific times, it was going to be a tall order, so we figured we might as well try a paid game. No. No. You can absolutely still find a free game. Now, if you've spent any time on Roll20, you've seen ads for these games. I won't name any names, but they're not hard to find. Given it was $20 per person per session? Holy shit, man. That's, we figured we'd be getting a good experience with an involved, passionate DM. Unfortunately, this did not happen. I'm sorry, $20 per person per session is, that's a lot. That's very expensive, even by paid game standards. The DM was curt and short with all of their replies, did not engage with me at all, even as I was trying to get to know their style of play and try to figure out ideas on how to integrate our characters into the campaign. It was genuinely difficult and borderline uncomfortable to talk to them. Not to mention that they said they won't read any backstories beyond a few bullet points. Oh. But I thought, okay, maybe he's better in-game. Listen, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. You should have gotten out before you paid this person a single penny, let alone $40 for the both of you. Wow. No. Bad. Game day comes, and I find out that the DM hasn't contacted my girlfriend at all, despite being required to according to game rules. So, due to her being new, my partner is obviously nervous going into the session. Once we start playing, it becomes obvious that the DM has put no effort into integrating me and my partner into the session. The group has had a few sessions before we joined, and there was plenty of room to ensure that us joining the party could have been handled with a lot more grace and effort. Likewise, neither of us were given an opportunity to properly introduce or describe our characters. The DM was also very strange and kinda unpleasant by constantly saying what my character felt or did in reaction to other things, without me ever implying that was in character for them. Not that they would know, since they invested zero effort into getting to know me or my character. Apart from that, the group overall just spoke over each other and interrupted each other constantly. Not a great experience. I think talking over each other is pretty normal for an online game, but eventually, you figure out a good balance between everyone and you don't do that anymore. I am not saying that we are the gods-given best players out there, but we were both enthusiastic and even got art done for our characters and spent time figuring them and their personality out. Honestly, it feels very discouraging. It feels like unless you have a party of people you know and are familiar with, it's a toss-up. Even when paying $20 per player per session, you feel like it would be a guarantee of quality, but it is really, really not. See, I think it is entirely possible to find a group of random players who you have personally never met before, who you get along with phenomenally. I've had several instances of that have turned into consistent gaming groups. You just, you gotta believe people when they show you who they are. Just hoping I get to show my girlfriend some good D&D sooner rather than later, because damn, we are both looking forward to it. Thanks for reading. Tail end. And hey, at least it sounds like you got out pretty quickly, so you didn't waste potentially hundreds of dollars on this. Cause yeah, that's not worth it. I think the way that a lot of the more mediocre paid GMs get away with it is that they kind of take advantage of people who are impatient and really, really, really want to find a game right now. So, the secret is, just wait. Just give it, a month even. Find something good. Don't jump on the first thing that slightly works with your schedule. Find something with people who you're actually going to get along with, and a concept and a GM who you vibe with. Because that's really what matters. Everyone's having fun here. And, okay, personally, I think if one of the people is getting paid for it, it takes out a lot of the fun. Because now it's seen as an obligation for them, and not just a cool, fun hobby for them to do. But also on that note, if you're charging people for a service, you need to be providing a good service, and not whatever the hell this was. I heard some rumors that a lot of paid GMs are running 6 campaigns a week, so they barely have any time to go through all the various characters and backstories and all that stuff. And really, to that, I can just say, fucking don't. That's stupid. If people are paying you for something, they should be getting what they pay for, not a shitty half-assed version of it. I think if you're going to try to turn paid GMing into anything more than a side hustle, you have to do it full time. You have to commit to it just like you would any other job. I guess there's my soapbox. Let's move on to the last story. Our final story gets us away from Dungeons & Dragons for once, is by the user Neko Decim, probably? and is titled The Mummy of Pemberley Grange, a tale of ignored clues and a fiery end. And do you hear a phone ringing? Because I do. Oh, that's right, it's the Call of Cthulhu. That joke was very bad. But this here is a story of a group of players who just refused to engage with anything. From some of the sounds of it, maybe they haven't ever played Call of Cthulhu before, or had no idea what it was about. The point is, well, you'll see. Tale start. This happened when I was GMing The Mummy of Pemberley Grange, one of the Seeds of Terror scenarios for Call of Cthulhu. For those unfamiliar, the premise is simple but eerie. The investigators, players, are guests at a lavish party thrown by Ms. Pemberley, a wealthy woman obsessed with ancient Egypt. The highlight of the evening? An illegal and highly unethical unwrapping of a stolen mummy, facilitated by a supposed Egyptologist, who, of course, turns out to be a cultist. As expected, the mummy is resurrected, cursing the guests, and the player's goal is to find a way to lift the curse while saving Ms. Pemberley in the process. That sounds really cool and really fun, and I would love that, actually. Sounds fun, right? Yeah, sounds really fun. It should have been. But my players had other ideas. Things started off fine. They mingled at the party, got a feel for the setting, and watched in horror as the ritual unfolded. The mummy awakened, the cultist revealed his true colors, and the horror began. This was where the investigative part of the game should have kicked in, where they'd pieced together clues scattered around the mansion, figuring out how to break the curse and deal with the threat. Look, no well-laid plan ever survives first contact with the players. Though, not usually to this extent. But my players, they did not want to investigate. At all. Whenever I gave them clues, they either brushed them off or hoarded them without sharing. I even tried giving them visions, hints from their cursed state, pointing them towards what needed to be done. But instead of using these as breadcrumbs, they treated them like isolated, unimportant events. Nobody talked to each other about what they had learned, nobody strategized, and nobody took charge of problem solving. It was like watching a group of people deliberately walk past an open door while complaining about being trapped in a room. It is very difficult to completely miss the point of something as hard as this. It makes me wonder if they were ever explained what Call of Cthulhu is. After bumbling around and achieving next to nothing, they came up with their grand plan. Screw this mansion, let's just leave. So, okay, the thing about curses is that they will follow you forever to the death, which is probably much closer than it was before the curse. Oh boy. Now, in Call of Cthulhu, running away is sometimes the best option. I would say it's actually often the best option. You do not want to be in combat. But in this case, the curse they were under meant that escape wouldn't save them. I tried to remind them of this, both in and out of character, but they were dead set on their plan. Listen, you can't logic someone out of a position that they used no logic to arrive at in the first place. Not only did they flee, but they decided that the best course of action was to burn the entire mansion down on their way out. Ms. Pemberley? Any remaining clues or possible solutions? All of it went up in flames. Oh, okay, I kind of get the logic there, like, well, if we destroy it all, clearly we'll be fine, right? And then there's no danger for anyone else. I sort of get it. Unfortunately. So, I let them escape. I let them watch the mansion burn to the ground, thinking they had somehow won. And then, over the next few in-game weeks, I described how their curse slowly ate away at them. One by one, they met horrific ends, visions of the mummy haunting them, their bodies withering away in unnatural ways, madness taking hold. by the time I finished describing their fates, they just kind of sat there, stunned. You don't come away from Call of Cthulhu unscathed. One of them finally asked,
"Wait, was there actually a way to stop the curse?"
Yes, there was. They just hadn't bothered to look for it. This was one of the most frustrating sessions I've ever run, not because of bad luck or poor rolls, but because the players simply refused to engage with the scenario. I don't mind players going off the rails. In fact, I encourage creative problem solving, but when they actively ignore every hint, clue, and opportunity I give them, that's a different level of frustrating. Look guys, you're playing investigators. That's what your characters are called. Do some investigation, please. I don't think they even realized how much of the game they missed out on. They just saw a problem, avoided it entirely, and then were confused when that didn't work. Call of Cthulhu isn't D&D. You can't just hack and slash your way to victory, and running away doesn't always mean safety. Okay, to be fair, both of those are true of well-run games in other systems, but as you've seen from the entire history of my YouTube channel, that is not always the case, so fair enough. Looking back, I wonder if I should have been more forceful in guiding them, or if I should have let them crash and burn just as they did. But at the end of the day, I can't force players to engage. All I can do is provide the story and watch as they light it, and themselves, on fire. I think maybe taking like 10 minutes at the start, just to be sure that everyone is on the same page with regards to what Call of Cthulhu is. It'd be helpful, though, maybe you did, and they chose to ignore it, in which case, never mind. TLDR, players ignored every clue, refused to share information, decided to burn down the mansion instead of solving the mystery, and died horribly from the curse they never tried to break. Tale, end. Yeah, so you probably know my thoughts. Not everything is Dungeons & Dragons or Dungeons & Dragons adjacent. There are some very, very good, incredibly fun systems out there that play absolutely nothing like Dungeons & Dragons, if you engage with them. And they're well worth engaging. And even if you think, oh, I don't know if I'd like the more slow, investigative, procedural, try it. Just try it. Actually try to engage. It's possible you don't like it, and that's okay, because then you know for sure. But if you don't even bother to try, how will you ever know? For the GM, about all I can think of is maybe have 10, 15 minutes at the start. Be sure everyone is on exactly the same page about, how does this system work? What sorts of things should I expect? What kinds of solutions to problems exist? That kind of thing. Because it sounded like they knew that they shouldn't get into combat, so that was good. But they forgot the whole investigative part of it. I have only ever played a one-shot of Call of Cthulhu, but I had a great time. It was all investigation. In fact, on that note, my character in that was an investigative reporter. It's in the name! So I guess to go along with my usual lesson of please be willing to try other systems, I have to include, and don't treat those other systems as identical to Dungeons & Dragons, because you'll have a bad time and probably die of an ancient mummy's curse. Oh, in the game, not, well, I guess I don't know your life. Oh, but that'll be the end of Foxy for the day. As I said, some less horrific, stressful stuff this time. More general, actual RPG lessons instead of, don't be a horrible person lessons. So, yay. This is a light one for my sanity. Oh, that's appropriate given the last story was Call of Cthulhu. I don't want to be making sanity checks right now. But you know what checks I do want to make? if you liked the video and subscribed to the channel. I'm probably not gonna check beyond just seeing that there's a number, but I like when number go up. Number go up, make brain happy. You can also find all my social medias down in the video description below. That includes a link to the official FoxyBard Discord server. I'm very active in there, and I'd love to see you stop by. And, of course, my favorite of all, patreon.com/FoxyBard, where you can sign up for as little as $1 a month and support me financially to keep doing stuff. Because, unlike a mediocre paid GM in a random Roll20 game, I will deliver the same quality stuff every week, or at least try my damnedest to do so. Is that really the pitch I'm going for? I guess it is. That's where we are this week. It's called a callback. So go over to patreon.com/FoxyBard, and you can add your name to the list scrolling by the screen right this second. And then it's gonna be off the screen right now. Unless I edited that poorly and the timing was slightly off, then that's when it left the screen. Now, if you couldn't tell from my voice this week, my throat has kind of been bothering me, but I felt I needed to record anyway, because I'm so close to some big milestones. Although, who knows, maybe pushing my luck inflicted a mummy's curse on me, too. Oh, that's unpleasant. Well, okay, I guess I better call, I don't know, fucking Yugi Moto and go to Egypt and kill an ancient Egyptian pharaoh in a trading card game. That'll break my curse, right? Right? Well, if you don't see me again, you know what happened. Bye!